Hey, this is Victor Antonio. What's happening, my Plexus peeps? Hope you're enjoying the event. I'm rocking the pink just for you guys. Now, I have a lot of information that I want to cover because I know that you guys have got a new toolkit and many of you are excited. You're starting out 2016. It's going to be your year. Now, let me just start out with a quick story. Most of you know that I'm doing a television show. It's going to be on Spike TV. It's going to premiere in March. It's called Family Takeover. This is basically where I go in and take over a family for 4 days and basically look at what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, then come back in 90 days and see how they're doing after I've helped them. But here's what I've discovered in working with many of these families throughout the United States. 90% of these families really don't have an idea of how to run their household. 75% of those are living paycheck to paycheck. Let me repeat that again. 75% of American families are living paycheck to paycheck. One recent study showed that 60% of the U.S. working population has $0 in savings. I have to believe that one of the reasons you're here is because you want to generate wealth. And what a great way to do it with a great company called Plexus. So I'm glad you're here. Now, you've gotten a toolkit. And some of you are starting out for the first time. Some of you have been here for a while. Some of you are starting for the first time. Let me talk to the people who are starting out for the first time. You're going to feel nervous. You're wondering to yourself, does this work? Can it work for me? So what I want to do is, before we get into talking about the toolkit, let's talk about the most important thing that'll drive your success, and that is your mindset. Sales today, success today, is really about the mindset. It's 80% mindset and 20% the tool set. Let me say it again. It's 80% mindset, 20% tool set. If you don't believe you can do it, you're not going to do it. You're right. If you believe you can do it, you'll figure out a way to make it happen. So again, let's change our mindset. You have some doubts. You have some fear. You have some uncertainty. I get that. We've all been there. Just look around you. Everybody's thinking the same thing. I'm not there, but I can see you. So again, let's get over the fear, the uncertainty, the doubt, and let's move forward. You have the tools. Let's walk through some of the things I think will help you be more successful. Now, why am I here telling you this? Well, because Alec asked me to do this. I do a lot of sales training. I've trained many people. I know what it takes to be a successful salesperson, and I know what it takes for you to be successful in 2016. For those of you who've been around, let's jack those sales up even higher. Know what I mean? All right, so let's talk about the mindset. Again, one of the shifts I want you to create now is that it's not about selling, it's about sharing. I love that. It's not about selling, it's about sharing. Now, you've heard this example, if you've heard me speak in the past, about, let's say you go to a restaurant. It's a wonderful restaurant. It's the best restaurant. It's you and your spouse. You go to the restaurant. You have a wonderful experience. You walk in the door. You're greeted very nicely. Take you to your table. They give you the menu, ask you what you want to drink. Boom, the drinks come out promptly. Wonderful, beautiful ambiance, beautiful music, just high enough so you can have polite conversation. Oh, it's so wonderful. The dinner comes out after you've ordered. It's perfect, just the way you ordered it. You're getting all the attention from the waiter or the waitress, and you're like, this is one of the best experiences I've ever had. So that day you leave, and you and your husband, you and your wife are very happy. And so what do? You pick up the phone and you call a friend. You start saying, hey, I went to this restaurant, and let me tell you about this restaurant. It was great. You walk in, and I mean the ambiance, I mean the music, the background, the service, the food. Oh my God, the food is fantastic, so forth and so on. Now, are you selling at that point? No, you're sharing your enthusiasm. See, that's what selling really is. You have to sell your enthusiasm. You have to be excited about what you're selling. And I'm going to talk about that once we get to the tool set. But one of the things I want to imbue within you is that you got to be excited about what you're selling, because you're no longer selling it when you're excited. You're just sharing what you've learned, what you're experiencing with the products. Get the idea? Now, it's not about you, it's about them. Oh, let me slow down here because this is important. I want to give you a framework to be successful in sharing or selling. And that is, when you approach somebody with the product, are you going to have people who are going to be resistant? Of course you are. Let's move those to the side. But there are a lot of people out there who want to hear what you have to say. It's very important for them to know what you have to say about what you have to offer. So here's what I'd like you to consider. When you walk in, again, if you were in my past presentation about a year and a half ago, you know that I said it really comes down to three things. When you're talking to somebody, they're interested in one of three things. They're interested in losing weight, the first W. They're interested in wellness overall, how to become physically better, or they're interested in wealth. They want to make money. Now, this is important to have those three things in mind when you're talking to somebody, a potential customer or client. Because what I want you to do is, given the information you've learned, I want you to start thinking about, if I'm going to ask questions, what type of questions should I be asking? Well, the one thing you should be looking for is, which of the three angles is this person interested in? Is that person interested in losing weight? You can ask key questions about that. Are they interested in wellness? Well, you can ask questions that would lead you there. Or maybe their weight's fine, their health is fine, so wellness is not an issue. Maybe they just want some supplemental income. So let's say that that's the angle, that they're more interested in the wealth piece. Well, then you know how to orient the information, the presentation, the information that you've gotten towards that, what it's about them, what they want to hear. Now, again, keep this in mind. It's either about weight, wellness, or wealth. When you're talking to somebody, ask the key questions and figure out which category, there may be more than one, but typically one dominates. Which one dominates their interest? That's how you position Plexus. That's how you do it. So figure out by just asking key questions. Listen and ask. Remember, the key to sharing and selling is to ask a lot of questions. Ask a lot of questions and listen. Use the 80-20% rule again. Again, 80% of the time you just want to ask a lot of questions. 20% of the time you just want to I'll listen. I want to hear, I want to understand. This will give you the information, the tools you need to sell to them more effectively if you understand the other person. See, but too often, we're so excited, right? We got Plexus, we learned about the product, we started using it, I lost weight, and you're excited and you just want to talk. And when you just talk, it just shuts people down. It really does. Because it's not about you, it's about them. If you can just stick to that basic premise that it's not about you, it's about them, keep the focus on them, that's how it works. Many years ago, I learned in selling that when you're having a conversation with somebody, my boss once told me, pretend that there's a spotlight over your head. And that spotlight should be 80% of the time over the other person. He goes, that's how you communicate and link up and sync up with people. Get the idea? So again, I know this is basic, that you got to listen and not talk too much, but it's amazing how we still commit that mistake. Remember, it's not about you, it's about them. But the important piece here is that by asking the right questions, you can figure out, is it about weight, wellness, or wealth? Where do we go? Get the idea? Now next, I want to talk about the customer experience. Yes, this is important. It's not about price. Yeah, I said it. It's not about price. It's not about the brand, the company. Plexus is great. I get that. But studies have shown it's not really about the price or the brand when it comes to buying, and it's also not about the support or the service. What it comes down to is customer experience. In other words, how do they feel buying from you? How comfortable do they feel? Do they trust you? Do they believe you? Are you sharing great information with them? See, right now in the market, many people don't know what to do. They don't know what to decide on, right? There's too many products out there. There's too many pills, potions, and powders out there. They don't know how to make a proper decision. But if you know your product and can help them clarify, make that decision, that's what they're looking for. That's the customer experience. People don't want to make mistakes. They want to avoid making bad mistakes. There's so much information out there that they need people like you to actually clarify what's going on. So when people talk about what causes fibromyalgia and what can cure it, they want you to give them the answer. They want you to help clarify, sift through the information for them, and help them make a decision. That is the customer experience. Anybody can offer a product. It's not what you sell, it's how you sell. This is important. It's not what you sell, it's how you sell. And the more you can help people make a decision, really make a decision, again, sift through the information, clarify things, explain things to them, and just help them make the right decision, that's what the customer is looking for today. So if you can bundle all this up into the sales mindset, how you should sell, you're sharing great information. It's not about you, it's about them. Well, if it's about them, what are they interested? Is it weight, wellness, or wealth? Okay, now that I understand that, because I ask a lot of questions, ooh, I'm there. But now, I'm in the selling mode or sharing mode, and now it's about the customer experience. Let me explain certain things to them. Let me show them the differences. Let me clarify things for them. Let me help them avoid making a bad mistake. That's what your customers want today. That's why you should get excited, because you have a great product. You're with a great company, and now you have a great sales process to implement this. So your chances of success should go what? Way up. So now, let's transition into the tool set. That's the kit that you got, all the information packaged up. They've done a fantastic job. I've taken a look at it. It is a very nice job. In other words, you're going to be able to use this information, all the stuff that's in there, to sell more effectively. And I'm going to give you reasons why you want to use that toolkit. Now, the first one is best practices. Now, think about this. Let's think about this for a second. This is great about this package, is that they've taken information from the best of the best within the company. The people, the cognoscenti, the people who know what's going on, the people who are having successes, right? The diamonds and everybody else, people at that level. They're trying to get all this information, and they've pulled it all together into this thing called a sales toolkit. And that's what you now have in your hands. That's what you've been learning about. So in other words, by having the best practices, what the best of the best are doing, you have now increased your probability of succeeding. And that should make you more comfortable in being able to sell more effectively. Second, let me talk to the ambassadors. Let me talk to the new guys or the new gals. Right now, this is a lot of information, right? It's a lot of information to absorb. You're still dealing with fear, uncertainty, doubt, and it's a lot of information. I get all that. But what's going to happen is that with time and practice, you're going to be able to be very successful at implementing these sales processes, sharing strategies with customers. So don't feel nervous. I know you're nervous right now, but over time, like anything else, you become very good at it. You remember when you got your car for the first time? For those of you who drive a stick shift, remember that? Remember the stick shift? Now, what happened the first time you tried to drive a stick shift? You kind of mad. You said, okay, clutch in, right? Key in the ignition. Okay, hit the accelerator a little bit, and I got it in first gear, right? Hit the accelerator, let the clutch go, and then what happened? It jackrabbited on you, right? It just chunked. And you did it a couple of times, it still kept just jerking, right? A week later, it was less jerky. Within a month, what was it? You were basically switching speeds like it was nothing. You weren't even thinking about it. That's what this sales toolkit's all about. That's what the sales process is all about. At first, it feels very clunky, very mechanical. But with time and practice, and this is where you have to commit to that, it'll become a smooth ride, if you know what I mean. Now, for ambassadors who've been with the company, who are growing their business, this is a great toolkit because it's going to allow you to now share your information as you build your team, as you bring people under you. And this is great. I want you to use this. And I'm talking to people who've been around now for a year or two. You need to use the toolkit to train other people to be more effective, because the toolkit now provides you a way of transferring the information to people you bring underneath you in a very easy fashion. Now, having said that, let's look at what it's going to take for you to be successful. Let me give you what I consider the simplest roadmap for you to get there. Now, I think you should start with the product. You should know the products. You should know what you're selling. That's my personal philosophy, and it's helped me many years in selling. You've got to know your product. You've got to know your product. And the best way to know your product is to use the product. Yes, use the product. I'm reminded of that one salesperson who wanted to sell Maseratis but drove a Chevy. Nobody's going to believe it because he's not driving. He doesn't believe in his own product. You have to believe in your own product. Nobody can tell you that. No matter how many motivational speeches, no matter how many times Tara or Alec tell you how great it is, until you use it, until you internalize it, believe it from in here, you won't be able to be successful. Why? Because customers are smart. They can smell when you're not being authentic. And the best way to maintain your authenticity is to use the product, okay? Just use it, use it, use it. Now, once you use the product, next step is learn the sales process. That's what they're laying out for you right now. What is the sales process? Where do I start? Learn the product. How do we get people in? What do I say? What do I show? What do I do? Okay? Understand the sales process. Again, this is the best of the best, putting all their stuff together just for you. So all you have to do is follow the roadmap that they're giving you. Next, practice your presentation. Practice it with people that you don't know. Practice it with people that you do know who are willing to give you honest feedback. Practice the presentation before you reach out to your franks, right? You got your friends, you got the relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, kids, service organizations, get the idea. Before you actually talk to those people, Practice, practice, practice. And again, keep the stick shift thing in mind. It's going to feel clunky, like, I don't know if this works. But again, practice it enough, it'll become very smooth. Now imagine that. You use the product. You use the product. You like it, you internalize it, you're like, I really love this product. This is really helping me. I feel better, more energized. Every day I get up, I feel that much better, right? So now you're using the product. Then they give you the process, which you now have in your hands probably. Right? So now you have the process. And then on top of that, you now know how to actually explain, present, listen, present, listen, present. I mean, think about it. Once you have those three things, you're ready to move on to the promotional phase. And the promotional phase is when you start really getting yourself out there. Now you start contacting the Franks. You start doing some promotion on social media. You start really putting yourself out there. So when you do get that phone call, somebody says, I saw your ad, or I saw what you posted on Facebook. I just want to ask you a couple of questions. When that person calls, you are locked and loaded. You are ready to handle that conversation. Get the idea? That's the process. I would start out by, again, using the product, internalizing how I feel about it. Again, understanding the products. You're going to be asked a lot of questions, and a lot of stuff's already in the documentation, the toolkit you got. Be ready to answer those questions quickly. Different strategies have been put in there for you, like blocking objections, my favorite, right? Again, different tactics that you can use when you're talking about the products. Learn the sales process. The best of the best have put everything in there. Use it. Why not? Also, I forgot to mention, did you know that by using a sales process, one study showed, the SBI benchmark organization showed, that people who use a sales process close 48% more deals. Wow! They close 48% more deals and they generate 2 times the revenue as opposed to people who don't use a sales process. That's motivation to use the process, so use it. Presentation, again, practice it. I don't care if you're an introvert or an extrovert. Studies have shown that the best of the best are neither introverts or extroverts. They're, as Daniel Pink calls them, ambiverts. Yes, an ambivert. I'm not making that up. I'm serious. An ambivert, you don't talk a lot, you don't talk little. You just talk enough. That is an ambivert, okay? So anybody can be a great salesperson or a sharing person. Last but not least, again, once you're ready with the presentation, now you can start promoting. Now you can feel comfortable talking to people because you know the product, you lived it, you've internalized it, you understand the sales process, you know what to say, when to say, what to show, in what sequence, but you also understand how to present. You know what to say. You feel confident. So now when people call you in the promotional phase, you're ready. But last but not least, if you got all that in check and you're making some sales, guess what? Then you can start building your team under you and you can start making a lot of money. And when you start making a lot of money, you send me a percentage. All right, that part was a joke, but that was it. But you've got a great toolkit, a great package. Use it. And again, I wish you all the best in 2016. This is Victor Antonio signing off. And as always, reminding you, selling ain't hard when you know how. Oh, my bad. Sharing ain't hard when you know how. Take care.